I don't have a ticket for this Arsenal game. They're playing Liverpool. The train down to London. I go to the stadium. There's an American guy sitting right next to me. He's like, "Are you American?" I'm like, "I'm American, yeah." He's the guy's like, "I'm with Arsenal America." So I ended up watching the game from a pub where I couldn't get tickets to that one. So New Year's Eve, I get a call at my hotel. And he's like, "Hey, come down tomorrow. I can sell you a ticket for face value." I'm like, "Fantastic, I'll be there." This is at Highbury. This is Arsenal's old stadium. Watching the game, Arsenal-Chelsea. This is pre-Roman Abramovich Chelsea. Frank Lampard's playing, and Thierry Henry's playing, and Arsenal won 3-2. It was just amazing.
Hello, and welcome to the Love Soccer Podcast, where we talk about our love for the beautiful game from our youth all the way to adulthood. I'm Jonathan Janik, and joining me today is Preston Golson. He is a soccer player. He's a soccer dad. Preston, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Jonathan.
So, Preston, if you were to try and visualize the very first moment that you played soccer, where were you?
Interesting enough, I have a hard time remembering it because I didn't play a lot formally growing up. I did play until probably the fourth grade, and the only thing I remember is like chasing butterflies in the field. That's what I remember. I actually have had a reverse sort of playing soccer experience. I went from watching soccer to playing soccer, as opposed to a lot of folks play soccer growing up and then they watch it later on. And I started playing more as an adult than as a child, actually. So I took a big pause between fourth grade until probably 15 years ago or so. I started playing again.
So what was your earliest memory watching the game?
I would say I started watching in college. I went to Harvard, and one of the earlier games that got me hooked is, even though I'm an Arsenal fan, I remember in our common room freshman year watching the Manchester United Bayern Munich Champions League final, where Solskjaer scored and Sheringham scored in the last few minutes, and just being like this big dramatic game that was sort of like, wow, this is pretty cool. So I sort of like got my appetite going, and then of course, playing FIFA. That's time they started coming out the video games and so forth, and getting introduced to players, and then watching. And then, of course, I got into sort of Thierry Henry and Dennis Bergkamp at Arsenal. And in those days, to watch an English Premier League game, you had to really, like, work for it. I remember going to the, you may know this place, Jonathan, the Plough and Stars in Central Square, where they would have the, in Boston, in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
It's right on Mass Ave.
Yeah, right on Mass Ave. And they would show the English Premier League games because they had a satellite dish. I remember going down there on Sunday mornings to watch the Arsenal Manchester United classic games with Arsene Wenger versus Sir Alex Ferguson, amazing games, and that's what got me hooked initially.
So why those players, Dennis Bergkamp and Thierry Henry? What was it that drew you to them?
Just like the speed, the skill, the touch, the vision and passing, just the speed which they played, the way they played, like everything about it was just very catching and eye-catching and pleasing to the eye, and it just sort of you gravitated towards that type of that's very skillful playing. That's what got me sort of like interested. Also, like watching Dennis Bergkamp play for Holland as well during that time, scoring some of those amazing goals in the World Cup, and just it was just very like interesting to watch, and it really just caught my attention.
When you think of that first experience when you were watching Manchester United against Bayern Munich in the Harvard Common Room, describe the atmosphere of being in college watching this finals game for a sport that it sounds like you didn't habitually watch.
Really, I mean, it's just like a very like cosmopolitan group of people, from all over, and it was just fun to watch. And you saw how soccer brought people together from different backgrounds.
All right, sounds like you're watching EPL when you can at Plough and Stars. When did that trigger you to start to put on a pair of boots and
well,
get
there's
out
another
there?
step in between that, and I would say that there's the national team, U.S. national team. Been to many. There's a period of time where I followed the U.S. national team around a lot. I went to the 2006 World Cup in Germany. Saw them play the Czech Republic. We lost 3-0, but it's still a blast game. It was a fun game. Pavel Nedved ran the game. It was crazy. He just ran all over us. He was everywhere. It was Gelsenkirchen. It was a Schalke stadium, so it's like the dome stadium there. So actually, let me just backstep a little bit from that. So graduate college 2002, but I'm home for 2 months in the summer back in Columbus, and that's the World Cup in Japan and South Korea. And my friend Brett, who's my neighbor, he's a big Liverpool fan, and we sort of like similar Premier League growth in terms of fandom. It was just like we were just graduating from college, and it's like we got a few months at home, and like what better to do than get up at like 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning and like go to each other's basement and watch the games over in South Korea and Japan. And that was, probably the best, U.S. national team experience of the World Cup ever. It made the quarterfinals, I think it was.
Yeah.
Almost beat Germany. I mean, we really took Germany to the wire in that game. And so there were two things that happened that summer. There was just the mornings we get up and watch in Brett's basement, or the Columbus Crew, being the first soccer-specific stadium in the United States. They had breakfast parties there to watch parties. And we went to a few of the watch parties where they basically had a big tent outside and a bunch of free food. You could go in the stadium. They had the game on the big screen. It was just like, it's carefree, like, just like summer. And we watched we watched the U.S. against Portugal, USA, South Korea. We saw the game. We saw all the games. And it was just a blast. And we decided after that, we're definitely going to like follow a national team. And then so like we're going to the World Cup 2006. That's what Brett and I decided to do. And we went with another friend to Germany and had a blast. We only got tickets to one game, which is fine, but still just the experience of every day, like getting up in the morning and Frankfurt or Munich and just like watching games in the town square with a bunch of fans and or the watch parties they would set up in different places. We took trains around Germany, took a side trip to Amsterdam. It was just a blast. It was a ton of fun. And after that, I think we were at the second Dos Acero game in Columbus, not the first and second one I was at, which was when Michael Bradley scored and other. So just like really like between there and then all the times they used to come to RFK Stadium. I saw USA play Germany at RFK Stadium. Seen USA play Argentina twice at the Meadowlands up in New York, one time with Messi. So yeah, just a period of time, just followed the national team around a lot, watched a lot of national team games, and that's another way that kind of caught the bug.
There's a lot to unpack there. So let's start first with Columbus Crew and the first soccer-specific stadium. You're getting up in the morning. What was the atmosphere like in Columbus as this city is growing its first stadium, soccer-specific stadium, which was a big deal in the United States? But, talk about that, but really talk about the fan experience, because it was really cool that they were organizing events.
Those experiences were very great experiences because like they just brought the community together. Just like, come root for the national team. Everyone's sort of like behind the team. Everyone's rooting for it. Like the food was great. The hospitality was great. It was just a really just fun experience. And especially for a young soccer nation per se, developing a fandom, it was very, very cool. And I actually remember when we were in Germany, in Gelsenkirchen, they had a little place for the U.S. folks to meet before taking this bus to the game, and I remember meeting some guys who were like, "Yeah, we're starting this club called the American Outlaws." I'm like, "Oh, great, that's fantastic, that's amazing!" Like, and then that became a big thing after that. So it was kind of like the infancy stage of it. It just felt like you're on something new, something interesting. It felt kind of like a first adopter of something that was like, going to be big. That's what it felt like.
It was, and it sounds like you were at the beginning of a movement, which is really fun to hear about.
It was fun. Yeah.
Let's switch a little bit to 2002 World Cup. You remember all the games. How do you feel about the handball?
Oh gosh, I was literally just talking about it in the office today. We have two folks in my office who are from Germany, and I was really talking about it the other day. I'm still mad about that. Torsten Frings, he handballed that. That would have been a big difference. Greg Berhalter probably would have had a different life. I think it was Greg Berhalter almost scored the goal there. But yeah, that's still bothering me. But no VAR in those days.
I still get fired up.
Oliver Kahn gets the benefit of the doubt every day. So yeah, that was a good game. But that was the best World Cup for the U.S. It was by far. Beating Mexico in the knockout round was just amazing. And we did a side trip to Amsterdam, and just like it was orange everywhere. I mean, everywhere in Amsterdam was orange.
Yeah.
Everyone they had everything was out to support the team, even though it wasn't it was the country over where the actual games were being played. Still, you got the feeling of it in Holland during that World Cup. And I've been to the Women's World Cup in Canada. So we went up there. We saw the Canadian team play Holland in Montreal. We saw France playing Mexico in Ottawa, and that was just fantastic. And I was like, you could really feel the women's game starting to really take off, and then it was really exciting because the quality and the support and everything that was there for that, and then of course the United States in that final was just amazing. So yeah, that was again. So I've been to 2 World Cups, one men's, one women's. When Arsenal was here the summer ago, my wife and I went to the open training. They trained right at George Mason, right down the road from where I live. They played Chelsea and they played the Spirit in 2 different weekends and went to those games. It was just a blast, total blast to see. And we got to meet some of the players at the open training, which is pretty cool. So yeah, definitely, there's lots of no shortage of opportunities for people who love the game in this country to go watch it. Yeah.
All right. So when is the moment that you come back to the game?
What I found in pickup soccer was sort of like various communities where you could jump in at your skill level and people were willing to help you learn, willing to help, you get the right level of competition. You can grow your own game again. So I started playing pickup in different places back when I was doing a fellowship at Harvard, 2013-14, started playing a little bit there in Cambridge with, folks. I did a pickup game right on the Charles River down by MIT, play there a little bit. Then back when my wife and I came back to this area, I actually ran a meetup group for a while. My wife and I did, where we had friends from church and the people would come and we'd play on Sundays over at Longbridge Park, which is in Arlington, right by the bridge going to DC. And we just, would find a field and just play.
Yeah.
Either there or we used to play over in Alexandria by the Brackwood station. And then I got introduced to some more formal pickups. Arlington, Parks and Rec, they have a formal pickup program where you can join an intermediate, beginner, whatever level you want. And what I really like with the DC pickup is just it's very cosmopolitan, very diverse. This different styles. They're the Middle Eastern style, African style, European, Eastern European, all on the same field at the same time and working together and playing. It's just, I found to be quite very interesting. But also just try to, try out some of those ideas you see on the field in different places and just do it so you understand and appreciate. I find I appreciate players and professional players even more now that I play more. You see how good they are and how. I've been fortunate enough to go to several Arsenal games, and I was at an Arsenal game earlier this year against Man City, and I had pretty good seats. And you see these guys out there, just their speed and the touch and the movement, and it's ridiculous. It's so impressive. And you appreciate it even more when you play yourself.
Where do you think their level of, expertise with the ball, where do you think their level of talent comes from? Do you think it's because they're out there on the pitch playing pickup every day?
I think there's some things you can teach and some things you can't teach. You can't, we can all be Erling Haaland size. The guy's a beast. You look on the field, it's ridiculous how big and fast that he is. So it's about genetics, but sure, the thousands of hours spent with the ball makes a difference from a young age. I'm sure. It's I was watching the warm up of the last Arsenal game, and I saw Ethan Nwaneri and Miles Lewis-Skelly, guys who've gone up from the Arsenal Hale-End Academy, just literally just pinging the ball across the field each other and just killing it. First stop, first touch, just taking it down, dribbling it 10 times and kicking it across the field again. Ball never touches the ground. That's got just lots of time spent with the ball practicing is how you get that good. And also additional to that, your just natural gifts in terms of athleticism.
I want to rewind. I'm curious, what were some of the moves? What were some of the opportunities that you tried as a player?
So what I found I had to sort of adopt for myself is sort of more of a target man, move it quickly, bring others to the game sort of type of forward, and making sort of runs at the right time. Because I'm not a fast person. I'm not going to beat you for speed a lot of times. But if I can take the right angle, the tight run, the right sort of timing, and then sort of connect with somebody, I can beat someone to the spot. So I really started to think about how as a forward can you, with the skill set you have, can you help the team? And I find that something, I like a good pass as much as a good shot. Almost, putting the right weight in the pass, trying to find it, trying to be a wall pass to somebody else, keep it moving. And those are ideas that sort of I tried to develop a little bit more. And also, the guys in those things are probably about on average 5 to 10 years younger than me, so just certain things you're just not going to be able to do. So you got to get rid of it fast, got to move it quickly. And when I played twice a week, I would, for a while time I'd play there and then play with our group on Sunday. I only play with our group on Sunday now, just life and time. But yeah, it's just those ideas of trying to figure out how you can with your skill set. And my skill set sometimes being more limited means you can just like you know what you can do, and you try to do what you can do well, and then try to expand out a little bit from there. It's kind of what I've sort of thought about doing.
What was a moment, a chance that you pulled off that said that was really awesome? What paint the moment?
So I remember having a fast break, and I remember I think I was coming from the right, and I hit a shot that went in sort of the upper 90 on the so I was coming from the left, sorry. I hit a shot that went in on the right over the keeper. I was like, that's pretty cool. That was nice. I think it's like the one goal I scored, or one or two goals I scored that season, but it was fun. That was a good shot.
So we play together on Sunday mornings. What are 2 or 3 of the qualities that keep you coming back?
I'd say it's connecting. I watch a lot of soccer. I know what I'm supposed to do. So it's connecting the mind of what you're supposed to do with the ability to do it with your body. Which again, those who've played more and have more of those skills, that's like the connection is like shoot. It's like there. It's like they know what I'm supposed to do, and it's like that. Me, sometimes like it could be there some days it's not quite there. Like I know exactly where I want the ball to go, why it should go there, but I may scuff the thing, and that's where the technique comes in, like the repetitive technique. And that's what makes the greats from everybody else, right?
I'm curious, if you were to nominate a couple people, do you have those people in your soccer journey who have influenced your progression that you personally know?
I'd say it's people I played with in different places. On the Arlington pickup, for example, they're a group of people I became friends with and still keep in touch with on Facebook and so forth. You know, folks during the pandemic, we would just get together and meet on a soccer field and just kick the ball around. This guy named Sergio who plays in the evenings on Arlington. He was just like a good list of confidence of players around him. He's a very good player. And you know, he would always be saying, Preston, make that run. I'll get you. Like that sort of thing. And it's for somebody who's like not, you know, a formerly trained player to play with somebody who's played, you know, high level, who's like, hey, I'll get that to you. You're making good runs. Keep making those runs. It's very encouraging, you know, because for someone who's like kind of a novice like myself. So like, there's always those players on the field who just like, who are, they raise the level of everybody around them in a way like, you know, they don't yell at people. They don't like, you know, make people feel bad for missing a shot or something like that. They say, just keep going at it. Like, I need you to do this. Try to do this. And that sort of helped me. That keeps me coming back, because if I had experience where I came out and everyone just yelled at me for being not as good as everybody else, and like, I may not have come back. But those people keep me coming back to play because they're the ones who sort of like see what you can do and bring the best out of you.
Those kind of players almost embody a different kind of spirit level of the game.
Yeah. And so, and for the most part, I found, you know, in most places I've played, they've been very inclusive groups, where it's like, you know, there's clearly some players who are clearly skilled. You know, we know in our own game like who like the most skilled players are. It's clear, but they don't discourage other players from being there. And so those are the players I think that really make it fun for everybody else, because their skill level keeps everybody else engaged. And it sort of like helps other people sort of raise their level as well.
You're a soccer dad. What do you hope that your son gets out of playing soccer?
Well, I hope he likes Arsenal. You know,
does he watch games with you?
He does watch games. He's not like, you know, fully like into the game. Like, he's doing his play and doing other things, and when the goal comes over, comes in and celebrate, and he does, you know, ask questions like that, but he's not like glued to the TV or anything like that, but he does appreciate it, so that's good. With any sport, I think discipline is important. Not quitting, being there for your teammates, giving your best effort. You know, those are the most important things. I think those are like the baseline things we want all our kids to learn for sports. And of course, if they go into different, you know, more talented levels, it's great. But if they just learn physical fitness, you know, teamwork, not quitting, you know, resilience, sticking to learning a skill, those are what you want from sports. And that's what I want from any sport my son plays in. And obviously, just to be the best that they can be at their level is what I love them to be. But those are the key things that I want him to learn.
If you were going to think of your soccer journey as a chapter in a book, what would we title Preston's chapter?
I've been very, very blessed. And kind of living the dream in some regards. Like I'm, as I mentioned before, I'm a big Arsenal fan, and because of the professional work in which I do, which is communications, I've actually had an opportunity to sort of interact with some folks in Arsenal comm staff, and they're fantastic. And just seeing like the effort they put into understanding not only the communications aspect of their jobs, but understanding the community that they communicate with, the fan community, and what that global community means, and what the club means to the fans, and how they try to incorporate that into their communications is I find to be quite impressive. And so the ability to sort of like intersect some of my professional career with football, soccer, has been a dream come true in that regard. Just the fact that just having a chance to talk to people who work in the game, and learn from them, and exchange, have like professional exchanges with them, has been sort of like really, really cool. So it's like, all the way from the pickup to the actual like running of the game is something that I think I've had a great opportunity to sort of see both sides of that, which is something that is pretty unique, and I feel very blessed to have that opportunity.
So what would we call the chapter on you?
Living a dream, I guess.
Living the dream.
Living the dream. Well, again, not everybody gets a chance to like be a fan of a particular team and actually interact with people on that team, which has been something that I've been fortunate to do. So I graduated from college 2002, started working in DC in federal government. That's December 2002. I get sent to the UK to work out at a place called Molesworth. It's outside of London. And I'm there over the holidays, and of course the holidays are the festive period of soccer matches, and around Boxing Day and New Year's and so forth. And I'm thinking like, what, I'm just gonna, I don't have a ticket for this Arsenal game. They're playing Liverpool. I'm just gonna go down to and see if I can get a ticket. So I go down to take the train down to London. I go to the stadium, the box office, and see if there's like a leftover ticket I could purchase or something like that. And I'm on the line, and I'm asking the lady. She's like, there's no tickets. And there's an American guy sitting right next to me. He's like, are you American? I'm like, I'm American, yeah. I'm like, he's the guy's like, I'm with Arsenal America. This is like the Arsenal America early days of the Arsenal America fan club, which is a lot bigger now. He's like, I brought a group of Americans over here to watch his games, and I'm like, oh, awesome, that's really great. Do you have any tickets? He's like, I don't have a ticket for today's game, but give me your number, and I'll see what happens, because there's two other games. There's a game on New Year's Day that they were staying for the week for. And this is the day. No cell phones. Like, I had to give them my hotel number. Call my hotel. This is where I am. Because this is the day I was still popping pounds in the payphones to call home, like stuff like that. So, anyways, I go. So I ended up watching the game from a pub or Arsenal club around the stadium, that game, and because I couldn't get tickets to that one. So New Year's Eve, I get a call at my hotel, and he's like, "Hey, come down tomorrow. One of the guys had to go home sick. I can sell you a ticket for face value." I'm like, fantastic, I'll be there. This is at Highbury. This is Arsenal's old stadium. This jersey here I'm wearing today is actually, my roommates gave it to me for my 21st birthday, so it's like 24 years old. That's where this jersey is. And so literally it's the North Bank Highbury Stadium, watching the game, Arsenal-Chelsea. This is pre-Roman Abramovich Chelsea. But it's got Frank Lampard's playing, and Thierry Henry's playing, and Arsenal won 3-2. It was just amazing.
Oh, wow.
So I've been blessed with ticket opportunities over the years. And again, those sort of experiences just kind of deepen your love for the game. This is like, those are amazing experiences to be able to tell people about in the future and and just like kind of like, I was really blessed to have that experience, to be able to go to Highbury, the old Arsenal Stadium, and see a game there. Was pretty ridiculous.
That sounds really amazing. Who scored the goals? Do you remember?
Oh gosh, I remember Giovanni Bonbranco scored one of them. That's the one I remember. I don't remember who scored the other goals. I've looked and see, but I've got some pictures from the game, and again, old pictures, actually developed pictures, not on a digital camera. And I don't think Thierry Henry scored that game. I remember Giovanni Bonbranco scored that game, but I'll have to go back and see who scored the goals in that game.
How many Arsenal games have you been able to see live?
In London, I've been to like 3 at the Emirates now, 1 at Highbury, and 1 away at Crystal Palace.
Oh, wow.
And then in the U.S., I've seen them play 4 times. I saw them play at FedEx Field, Northwest Colonel Stadium. They played Real Madrid. Saw them play in Philadelphia at Lincoln Financial Field against Liverpool. I saw them play MLS All Stars at the DC United Stadium. It's about 8 times now. 8 times, yeah. Which is very fortunate. I mean, I know like that's a blessing. Not too many folks get to see their team in action that many times. So I'm very, very, very thankful I've been able to see the team play that many times.
Earlier, you mentioned that you're a member of the Arsenal America supporters group. Can you describe what that experience is like?
Yeah, no, it's great because all the Arsenal America chapters have different pubs or bars where they watch the games at. I went to Philadelphia one time, and that Sunday morning Arsenal was playing Fulham, and so I go on the Arsenal America site and I see that this is the pub where the Arsenal fans meet to watch the game, and I just go down there with my Arsenal jersey on and get to watch the game with a bunch of Arsenal fans. So there's different, almost pretty any city in the country, major city in the country, and even smaller cities has Arsenal chapters, which is great to have a sort of like built-in group of fans with similar interests. You can just know you can show up there and watch a great game. And also, I'd say that the Arlington chapter, they meet at the Four Courts in Arlington. The head of that group is a Ginger, and her husband are. She works in media and so forth, and she's a great job organizing that group there, and even around certain issues that are meaningful. And I find that, whether it be an Arsenal or Liverpool fan club or whatever, it's nice to have that sort of natural sort of affinity with folks you may never have met before, who are willing to sort of stick up for you or or welcome you into their association just because you like the same team. It's kind of cool. It's cool to have that sort of community wherever you go to sort of plug into.
The beautiful game does that in so many different ways. Being part of a supporters group, I've never belonged to one, but now I'm inspired to do so. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, even just say, I'm not every week. I'm not there every week, or I'm not deeply involved. Other people are more deeply involved than I, but just good to know that exists and things that you can, and pretty much every team has one now.
Well, Preston, thank you so much for sharing your story, for sharing your journey. You transformed, your fandom of watching the game back into playing and coming back onto the pitch. So, really appreciate it. For all our listeners out there, please do what you do on social. Share, comment, like, and if you know a soccer player like Preston and me, share this podcast with them. And until next time, take care.
Awesome. Thank you, Jonathan.